Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I am Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for, my friend.
Oh, we're going to get into obviously updated baseball as we are the home of the MLB playoffs. No Greg Kerr, no money wise today. Just Mariners, Tigers starting off at 12, Brewers, Cubs, Jays, Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers to wrap up tonight. But we'll get into we'll have our BC guys, Rob and Kenny Calvin, joining us at 7:30. Preparing for this weekend's homecoming game out at BC football. Go out there. Free tickets. Can't beat that. We'll get into the 559 fights. We've got the champ back in studio. Hopefully he brings that belt. We'll talk about that. Plus, it's Waiver Wednesday. All sorts of news around the sports world we'll get into right here. And if you'd like to win another pair of Brunch Fest tickets, we've got them. Text or call in anytime throughout the show at 661-842-2000.
And we got plenty to talk about outside of that. World of football, world of baseball, basketball is back. Hockey came back last night. Regular season got underway. I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to get to all of it. I won't lie to you, but we'll try our dang best.
Take over.
I mean, at this point,
we've got so much to talk about.
There's way too much. But at this point, let's start with the world of football, as we always do. Joe Flacco has found himself a new home as the Cleveland Browns have decided we're going to keep the young guns. We're going to move on. And as Sparky predicted,
called it.
He's headed to Cincinnati. I mean, at this point, anything is better than Jake Browning.
Right.
But I was having this conversation with a couple Raider fans yesterday because I very much expect the Raiders to do something similar with Geno Smith because, again, 5 weeks into the season, 9 interceptions. It's not exactly winning football.
Garbage.
But it's not necessarily his fault. I mean, it's 50% his fault. Don't get me wrong. You still have to throw the ball. But the offensive line has been garbage. And I think you could arguably say the same thing about Cincinnati. So, is this move really going to save the Bengals season? Probably not. Especially with the way we've seen Joe Flacco play the first 5 weeks of his season for the 4 weeks, because he didn't play game 5. 4 weeks for the Cleveland Browns, in which wasn't exactly winning football either. However, I still have to say it's better than Jake Browning.
Yeah, and I think obviously a fresh start for a veteran quarterback. My two questions: one, is Shador move up to 2? Obviously,
by default,
I would think,
so.
right?
God, if they keep him in the 3rd, could you imagine?
Well, I have heard other shows talk about, Watson is healthy now. And I'm like, dude, don't even bring up
that
Watson.
Rumor mill. If they put Deshaun over Shador, there is collusion in the NFL.
And then there is also that Bailey Zapp is on the practice squad. And I'm like, dude, don't even with Shador. But my two questions is, one, does this Flacco trade to the Cincinnati Bengals help people in fantasy with, the wide receiver core, whether it's T. Higgins or Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I'd have to say it's at least going to calm down the wide receivers and they're going to get the ball a little bit more, because I will say that Joe Flacco is a seasoned quarterback, obviously a Super Bowl MVP, and knows what he needs to do to get the ball out quickly, even with a bad offensive line. And to be honest with you, I think Joe will make the necessary reads and adjustments in game to actually give him that time to throw the football. So yeah, I think if you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you're going to see a little bit of a bump. I wouldn't necessarily say
jump on that train quite yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not Joe Burrow, but Joe Flacco will at least get you the ball when you need it. So I would say that Jamar at least will jump back up into that top 10, top 5 wide receiver range if he isn't already. T. Higgins, though, again, that one is, I think, more of what we see with a lot of other athletes, which is once they get the bag, they just kind of, I don't want to say get complacent, but definitely don't have the same hunger they had when they were trying to gain the bag. And I haven't seen the type of play from T. Higgins at all that would warrant the amount of money that they gave him this offseason.
No, and my second question is, does he start this week?
Yes, 110%. Zach is already probably working on it at this point. I mean, Coach Taylor is already under scrutiny, wanting to, or people calling for his job. I know we mentioned it on Monday, but at this point, you have to start him because you're not just playing for the season, you're playing for your own job. Or I'm sorry, you're coaching for your own job at this point for Taylor. So yes, 100% figure out how you can just plug and place him. I know that there's already been a memo sent out to the rest of the team about how Joe is perfectly fit, skill wise to be the guy that they need to really make this offense go. So I think he already has a plan. But at this point, 100% Joe Flacco will most likely be starting this weekend against the Green Bay Packers. Ugly game for you to start going against Micah Parsons. But at this point, again, like I said at the beginning of this, anything, and I do mean anything, is better than Jake Browning. Sorry, Rich Eisen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Eisen says.
Oh, Eisen's going to be crying today.
I mean, Flacco.
Eisen is going to be crying.
The Bengals get
tears.
Flacco and a 6th rounder, and all they had to do was trade a 5th rounder. So, I mean, it's a win or lose, and now it helps Cleveland. Now they can look forward to the future with these quarterbacks.
Really think about it too. If Cleveland doesn't have a good season, that 6th rounder essentially becomes a 5th rounder. You didn't lose anything if you're Cincinnati. So this is a win-win for you. Jake Browning's still on the roster. I'm sure he'll help Joe figure out a lot of the offensive schemes and plays very quickly. But as of right now, I fully expect to see Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals this weekend. Whether that's going to be the game changer and get them into winning territory again, probably not. I'm just going to be realistic about it. There's way too many problems on this Cincinnati team to really say that the quarterback was the whole issue. I think that, I think that this season really just continues to show me how important Joe Burrow is. And I know we not argued about it, but we debated about it before the season started, how good Joe Burrow is really. This is just more further proof of that. The kid almost had 5,000 yards last year. And a lot of you were all giving me grief saying Joe Burrow didn't believe or shouldn't be in the top 5.
Ridiculous. I think it's more of the dark cloud of his injury history.
Right.
And I mean, that's going to happen in a professional sport like the NFL. Right. But half the time he's injured and the other half he's in the top 5 quarterback talk.
But again,
I think it's more of the coaching on having a better backup plan.
Yes. 100%.
When you're 5-6 weeks into the season, you're having to rely on trading for a veteran quarterback. And I think that is something that they'll have to obviously address, is that offensive line. Like we've said for years, we've seen too many talented quarterbacks get their careers cut in half because of offensive line issues.
And that's the exact point I was going to make. You can compare it to Andrew Luck if you want to, but every time Luck was on the field, he was a top 5 quarterback. The minute that offensive line gave up on him, or I shouldn't say gave up on him, but gave somebody up and, unfortunately led to an injury for Andrew, that's when the team started going downhill. So I don't necessarily think that we can really use this injury as a dampener for Joe, or really Andrew for that matter, if we really want to go back that far. It's part of football, as Sparky just said. But again, this just further shows me that Joe Burrow is that guy for the Cincinnati Bengals. And unless he's behind the center, it's really hard for them to win football games. We'll see if Joe Flacco can do any bit of help for this Bengals team and try to save their season here. But they need to do something quick and they need to get it done fast. I personally don't know if this is going to be enough. Because like Sparky just said, don't matter how much money you spend in the wide receivers, if you don't protect your quarterback, you can't get him the ball. You can't. So that's really the long and short of it for Cincinnati at this point of what they're looking forward to. I mean, coming into this week, though, there's a lot of great games in the NFL to really look out for, starting with Thursday nights. But I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on Joe Flacco in that first game for Cincinnati. I really am, especially with the Green Bay Packers coming off of a bye week. I know all of you are probably prepping to get, at Jake Browning and really have the game of your life defensively. And trust me, fantasy football fans, I had the Green Bay Packers starting this week because of Jake Browning. Solely because of Jake Browning.
Me too.
But now I'm going to have to consider throwing somebody else in there just solely because Joe Flacco has done this before. let us not forget that he was the 2023 Comeback Player of the Year when he led the Cleveland Browns in 5 weeks to a 4-1 record, got them into the postseason, although quick exit still got them to the postseason. So who knows? Maybe Joe Flacco has some late, career antics that can turn it around and save his own, hide and keep him as a starting quarterback in the NFL until he inevitably retires, probably this year or next year.
I mean, you couldn't have a better option, at least. I mean, obviously, besides the offensive line, but knowing you're going from Cleveland to Cincinnati, and now you get to play catch with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Again, I don't know a lot of quarterbacks that would complain about that.
No,
but at the same time, I know a lot of quarterbacks that would complain about the god awful offensive line you put in front of them.
I've been on the fence on benching. I mean, I haven't started T. Higgins ever since the injury, and I probably won't until I see what this Flacco development in Cincy is.
You know what's funny? That's a good indicator. I think you're right on it with that one. But I have seen and talked to a lot of people that have been on the borderline of just dropping T.
Yeah, I've been on the fence.
Just been like, you know what? He's not going to do it. Kind of like Cooper Kupp. You expected a little bit more from him in Seattle, and it hasn't really boiled out to being what you want. Although Cooper had a pretty solid game last week. It's still, though, like the expectations we have for a lot of these guys, especially for the amount of money that you're being paid to play that position. If you don't levy up to it, dude, I don't know exactly what to tell you. I can't save you. I really can't. But again, maybe we're not being fair. Maybe the offensive line is just that bad that they can't get the ball to T. Because I'm not going to lie, you're not going to have T. Higgins not run a deep route while Jamar is running a short. And of course, you're going to throw the ball to Jamar when you're being crashed down on by every defensive end that you played against. So maybe we're just not being fair. Maybe T just doesn't have enough time to get the ball. We'll find out this weekend when Joe Flacco inevitably takes the helm.
And really, they're just asking him to win a couple games.
Yep, and get him back in it.
Just get us back in the conversation until our boy comes back.
Again, between the AFC, I mean, again, not to parallel with the Raiders, but the Raiders are kind of in the same boat. It's only the first quarter of the season. As wild as it is to say right now, you're still in it. If you turn around, win the next 3-4 games, you're right back in the chase. Because I don't believe, or let's go back to the Bengals. Pittsburgh, although winning 3 games, dang near threw all 3 of those games away. The Ravens are in shambles. The Browns can't figure it out offensively, although have one of the best defensive teams in football. So they're going to be formidable if you play them or not. But at the same time, if you're really going to bet on Joe Flacco or Dylan Gabriel to make it all the way to the playoffs, I'm going to go with Joe. So realistically, the Bengals could turn it around if they really found a guy that could, put it all together for them. It's just really, is Joe Flacco going to be that guy? We will see.
Really, all he's got to do is go 500.
I know.
Keep us in the conversation, and we'll get our boy back.
That's
another weird trade yesterday, which I don't have a lot with, but I know the Ravens traded their former first round
away,
and had 10 sacks last year. Obviously, Harbaugh says he hasn't, really came up this year, and he's on his contract year. So it was easy to get something out of him.
Mm-hmm.
They traded him over to the Chargers for Gilman, who is pretty much that'll help at least fill up that secondary help that they actually that Ravens defense. I started with this season with them, and I was pumped. I was like, cool. The Ravens defense on paper should be in the top 3, top 5. And they've been garbage.
Well, the injuries that have come through this team, just like the 49ers, have been absolutely destructive on this defensive side. That's why they had to go get Gilman, because Kyle's still hurt, the safety. So you have to have somebody that's going to fill the spot there. And to be honest with you, like you said, they've been giving up ridiculous amounts of points and amounts of just yardage in general. It's very unlike any Ravens defense we've seen. But
it's just crazy. It's football, baby.
That's
when
how it works.
You're looking at the Browns and Jaguars defense on the waivers,
really, what
is going on?
It's true. But when you look at what Baltimore was trying to pull off, I mean, they have an abundance of pass rushers that they're constantly swapping out with. You have a young guy, Mike Green, that really came in and kind of took Oweh's position away. So it was hard for them to really dictate, or at least, justify keeping all of these guys when you need help in the secondary. I love the move. Just because like Harbaugh said, you're going to have to pay this kid a lot of money after this season. He wasn't necessarily developing. He was kind of staying stagnant in the defense. And they weren't necessarily making game-changing plays getting after the quarterback. So you got to give them some help in the secondary to at least, put some padding behind them and make sure these points don't get scored. I like the move. It's just, again, like we said on Monday, John Harbaugh, much like Zach Taylor, I think is right now making moves to save his job because there have to be concerns in the Baltimore organization that maybe he's just not that guy. He was the first couple years you had him, but you also had Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, and a whole bunch of other guys, Terrell Suggs. I mean, offensively, you had Steve Smith Sr.,
I was gonna say we can go
Joe
down the list for 30
Flacco.
minutes.
We really
The
could.
teams that they had,
They were set up to get to the Super Bowl that year. Not taking away anything from what Harbaugh did as a coach, but they were set up to make it that year. Hasn't really been the coach to get them there since, and you've had an MVP, multiple-time MVP. You've had plenty of fantastic defensives. You can't say the Baltimore Ravens haven't been going out and trying to sign people or trade for people to make it easier for you. They got you DeAndre Hopkins. They got you Derrick Henry. They got you Raekwon Smith. What else do you need? They drafted Kyle Hamilton for you, who's easily one of the best safeties in the league. What more do you need as a coach to be successful? I think that's really where Baltimore is with John Harbaugh. So at this point, any move is going to save John. So I think that's really what they're looking for at this moment. Let's take a break real quick, pay some bills. On the other side, we got to talk about some more things that went down. The NFL has levied a handful of fines.
suspensions. Busy day.
Oh, my God. And Jerry Jones was one of them, Dallas Cowboy fans. So we'll let you know exactly what happened there. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield, as well as streaming online every single day, or every single weekday, I should say, from 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can join us, watch us, like, share, subscribe with all of your friends, and all that type of good stuff. Big happy birthday shout out to a good friend of mine, Shelby. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you continue to have a good day. And apologies for the stream right now. I know we're having issues. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with my video. I know you could plainly see Sparky and whatnot, but for me, I'm having some issues. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. However, Sparky, let him know what's going on with Jerry Jones as he got slapped with a fat fine for what he did over the weekend.
My gosh. So the NFL hit Cowboys owner Jerry Jones with a $250,000 fine after the viral video showed him making what appeared to be the middle finger gesture towards a fan. Of course, in Jerry style, he comes out and says, dude, it was intended to be a thumbs up towards Cowboy fans.
Oh, of course it was. Because,
I'm getting old and my fingers get a little mixed up.
Now, I may be young. I may be a little too young for this, Sparky. But which one's your thumb again? Like I'm pretty sure the two fingers have nothing to do with each other, right? Like I'm pretty sure that's how the hand works. You can function each of the fingers individually.
Some of us can.
Some of us can, I guess. That don't make any sense to me, but that's just me.
With $250K, he'll probably shake it off and make a joke out of it.
Which, I mean, should we joke out of it? Like, should we really not just joke about this, to be honest with you?
I know the Cowboys plan to appeal the decision.
Naturally.
But in Jerry style, he's like, $250K, okay, that's fine.
And I mean, again, $250K can't be that big of a deal for Jerry Jones. Let's be completely honest. But he's also not the first owner to be slapped with a fine like this in the last couple of years. I mean, we saw the Tennessee Titans owner get slapped with one. And they're all about the same. I believe, was it the Panthers owner that got slapped with one, I think, last year because he threw a drink at a fan?
Yes.
So
he slapped it out of his hand or something like that.
Understandably so. I mean, I guess we should all take into account that these people are just as human as we are. And, when you badger them just as much as you badger each other, they're going to get angry. But at the same time, I keep sitting here thinking, how is Jerry not getting in trouble for this more often? Is the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know a single fan base that's more hated on the planet than the Dallas Cowboys.
And loved.
You're right. And beloved. But he's also sitting there claiming that all of that was happening was him trying to give a thumbs up to the group of Dallas Cowboy fans that he claimed were there. I don't believe that for a second, by the way. I know Dallas. Apparently, Dallas is America's team. Never believed that.
Keeps them in the news.
It really does. But at the same time, is this the kind of news that you want your team to be remembered for?
No.
Like, I keep highlighting that when Jerry had come out and said that originally and said, oh, if we're not in the news, I'm going to make us be part of the news. That shouldn't be what you want from your owner.
Ding, ding, ding.
The owner should not be making problems for the rest of the team. You want to talk about a cancer.
100%. I couldn't say it any better.
That is not something that I would want to play for, but that's just me. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I know this entire drive lately, especially since they've been showing that, oh, yeah, if you're a Dallas Cowboy player, you have to deal with all the people walking through during workouts and all that type of stuff, and then the spectacle that it is. I know Jerry saved football, but when do we kind of draw the line with Jerry and say this ain't acceptable, my guy? I think
bulletproof.
I think this is the NFL's first step in doing that. Don't get me wrong, but just the thought of him turning around saying, "Oh, you could call it an accident if you want. I was just trying to give the thumbs up to everybody after Dak's first or fourth touchdown." Yeah, that's what you were doing, Jared.
Sure.
Instead of looking down at all the New York fans that were giving you grief the entire time you were there and saying, "You know what? That was Dak.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guy. That's why I do what I do." That's exactly what Jerry Jones was doing. Let's be honest.
And they were busy with the NFL yesterday because the Cardinals fined their coach Gannon 100 grand on that little.
How did you feel about this? Because we talked about it a little bit at the end of yesterday's show. For those of you who don't understand why Gannon was fined, during the game against Tennessee, the third string running back pulled, well, the blunder, which I think every NFL player is going to start doing, which is the dumbest thing on the planet. But when he was crossing the goal line, flipped the ball a little early, fumbled, right? We've seen it the last 2 weeks in a row. Coach Gannon gets heavily angry, puts hands on DeMarcado. And I mean, puts hands on him.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, check it out.
And he has since come out and apologized, said, you know what, I was wrapped up in the game. I was wrapped up in what was going on. So it was hard for me to really, I couldn't pull away. I get that emotions run high. But I think Jeff Saturday said it perfectly yesterday on ESPN. You can't put hands on anybody.
No,
you can't do that. So what were your thoughts looking at that?
I was thinking the same thing because I had coaches growing up that, were a little heated.
Yeah.
And some of them were positive because that's what we needed. We needed that fire. But if they ever put hands on a player, that's just drawing the line.
It's wild.
And I think either the Cardinals, he's going to lose that locker room as the players, the professional athletes look at him and be like, dude, this guy's a joke. Or like I heard CC this morning saying, that might just put them back together. That might just put them, this guy's behind us. This, because a lot of players can't come out to the media and be like, yeah, this dumbass dropped the ball and, pretty much lost the game for us.
Right.
Or they can look at it as, okay, well, this coach is a player's coach. He did the things that we couldn't do as a player.
Right.
But I'm kind of on the fence. I think as a professional coach, you have to know the boundaries.
Yes. What you can and can't do, especially since these aren't, like you said, youth coaches you've seen get a little angry, a little physical, and that's still not okay. I'm going to point that out right now. It's still not okay. But in a professional light, you got to know you're all grown men. And these are the instances where if DeMarcado would have swung back,
what if he would have just laid him out?
We would have had a whole different story. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't blame him at all because, again, you're put in that situation where it is no longer a job. It's now you protecting yourself as a man. So I don't blame him at all. But Gannon getting slapped with the fine was very warranted, in my opinion. 100 grand is a lot, especially for a coach. But it's a lesson that he has since learned. I'm glad to hear that he came out and apologized before the fine was actually given to him. And I hope they are able to sweep this all under the rug because God, was that loss for the Arizona Cardinals embarrassing. And we didn't even get into it. We can later on during the show if we want. But him getting slapped with $100,000, oof. That ain't cheap. I know a lot of us are used to hearing the millions upon millions of dollars that these guys get for the football contracts. But for a coach to get slapped with $100 million or $100,000 fine,
and you better hope that the team comes together with him because if not, he's looking for a job here very soon.
Absolutely.
But we'll take our break. We'll get into our weekly BC segment with Kenny Calvin and Rob Chavez right after this break. We are the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Try to pick the people that are going to be there, especially if they're young. Because it's like you're taking a slot from one of the older guys.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 21.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Well, streaming video every single weekday from 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Go follow us on all social media platforms. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, all that type of good stuff. But it's time, as always, to talk BC football with the voices of BC football, Mr. Kenny Calvin, Mr. Renegade Rob Chavez. Gentlemen, welcome once again. Before we get into the game against Cerritos, obviously you guys got a big night tomorrow night with the Hall of Fame dinner. So let's talk about that a little bit and all the entries that we will see. You get the 77 and 78 basketball team, Rick Van Horn, amongst others. Who are you guys excited to see the most tomorrow night?
I think for me, it's Tyrone Crawford. You know, he's one of the guys that most recently in BC's history has been the most visible at the highest level. For him to actually jump on a plane and come back to be celebrated, even though this isn't his hometown, I think that's one special moment for me. But more than that is Coach Rick Van Horn. You know, he was my position coach as a high school football player. I learned the game from him. He was like a father figure. I'm still trying to figure out how I got in before him, you know, being he holds all the all-time interception records in high school and college, former player of the year. And I get to work with him every week on our Kern High Network broadcast. So to see Coach Van Horn get his flowers is definitely a dream come true for me too.
Yeah, I think the same. Coach Van Horn was my first high school football coach, and I can go back to the spring of 1994, and he was making his trip to every middle school within about a 10-mile radius of East High because he was picked as a coach that needed to turn a program around. And Kenny will tell you that, you know, East High was a team that everybody kicked around back in the day. And within 2 seasons, he got East High into the first playoff that they have been in over 17 years. It just turned a culture around to the point where he was able to hand it off to other coaches, and it was a respectable program for many, many, many years over at East High. But on top of that, he was, you know, first head coach ever at Liberty, brought the Bakersfield Blitz to prominence here too. And I mean that after his playing days, and you know, Kenny and I weren't even around to watch that guy, you know, up at BC. But everything we've heard from everybody who ever watched Coach Van Horn, you know, tear it up over at BC, not only just on the football field, but the guy was a heck of a shortstop as well too, playing baseball for the Renegades as well too. So.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit, though. I think there's a huge difference in terms of coaching when you're being coached by somebody that's really a legend around the area. Both of you have obviously played under this man. So what is it like playing for somebody like that? I know both of you speak to how much of a father figure he was to you, but I'm talking more on the field. Like what type of benefit does that have, having somebody with that kind of insight as your coach?
You know, one of the biggest things about kids is building trust, learning how to build trust in young athletes. And once you found out that you could trust his information and you saw it work the first time, that's what flips the switch for you, you know, because me and Rob talk about this as well. Coach Van Horn didn't talk about a lot of his individual accomplishments when we were players. We didn't know a lot of his greatness until we were adults. Mm-hmm. So it was really just about the information. And once you trusted the information and you made the play and you came back and he said, "See, I told you so. If you read the hat of the tight end, you can tell when he's running or passing." Mm-hmm. And you make that play, that's when you fall in love with his information. That was the switch for me.
Yeah, and the same. When my dad played high school football against him and high school baseball, and as soon as he heard that he was going to be our head coach over at East High, his eyes opened up. He goes, "Rick Van Horn is going to coach East High," and I was like, "I don't know who he is, Dad." And he goes, "You'll hear about him." And when he just how he taught kids who, you know, really hadn't played football before, they didn't know the intricacies of football. He taught that, but more than anything, is that he brought over a winning culture. I mean, he was used to was really winning, and he even said, I wasn't really used to truly losing until I got to UNLV, and they got humbled a little bit with a few teams. But either way, he told everybody coming into to the program at East High, just like he told everybody at Liberty and the Blitz, from what I've been told, is that, look, I'm going to try to get out of you what you don't think you got in you, and because that's what everybody's done with me prior to coming here, and and that meant something. You put in the time. He even said, you put in the time, you're going to be able to see the results. And I mean, the guy knew everything about every position. You ask Kenny, we talk about him all the time when it comes to punt returning, what he taught. But even me, as you know, my main position was as a deep snapper, and this guy would get down with me, and we would work on deep snapping. So I mean, it was little things like that and he would be able to coach every position and go around and bring something to it. The guy was a consummate head coach too, but again, it was all because of the fact that he got to see things from kind of a captain's perspective, being a safety in football, being a shortstop in baseball. You know, he wanted to be the guy. And you ask him now, he goes, "Oh yeah, I wanted to be the guy."
That's awesome. I mean, just to name off a couple other people that you'll hear tomorrow. Are tickets still available for the dinner, by the way?
I believe so. I think since we have a few families who scratched, we may have some available that may turn into tables that were reserved into open seats.
Fantastic. Well, there might be some tickets available for you if you do want to go to Luigi's Warehouse tomorrow night at 5:30. Tickets will be available at gogades.com. The other people that'll be mentioned, as well as we already said, the 77-78 men's basketball team.
Wow.
Jan Stubbe, Sandy Bowers, Gloria Friedman of the tennis team. We've already talked about Tyrone Crawford, Sean Barker, I apologize, and Brandon Banks from the football team.
And that basketball team, man, they were the 33 and 2 team that won the championship. And I mean, even I believe it was they got the player of the year, the coach of the year.
You want to talk about a team that's long overdue to be in a Hall of Fame?
Absolutely. You know, you got my uncle Dean Jones. He ended up going to USC. It was roommates with Ronnie Lott. At my uncle Manuel.
The idea to cut off the finger? Is that what happened?
Absolutely. My uncle Manuel Calvin was stated to be the Magic Johnson before Magic Johnson, as he had the body of a left tackle running point guard. He was basically unstoppable in those moments. And you had Todd Ward, who's also a Hall of Fame high jumper for the Renegade Track Club, a national champion in the track world, as he's been deemed the highest flyer in Bakersfield history. Now, think about all the high flyers we've ever had. Whenever you hear a name, I think of Reggie Phillips, Mark Manyweather, all of these guys. They say Todd Ward was the highest flyer of all time.
I believe it. I grew up with the Ward family, and I mean, a lot of them are very athletic, I will say. I grew up with Dashmere and Todd Ward Jr. I mean, there's a ton of talent in that family. But going back to, the homecoming game this Saturday, which if you can't make it, which shame on you if you can't make it. But if you're like me and you have to, listen on the radio side on our sister station, we are the home of the Renegades right here on Kern Radio 96.1. But looking forward to, you had the bye week. Hopefully you got to shake off some things we've talked about in past weeks. But the positive side, besides homecoming, what can we expect this weekend?
I think we finally see clarity, right? We had such frustrating weeks over the past weeks, and now it was basically an experiment. Coach Thompson, as a first-time head coach, trusting his locker room and his assistants and giving them an opportunity to do what they felt was best for their position area. Now we're in a situation where we're midway through the season, all the experiments are done, and now we're just going forward. And now they have some commitments that Rob is going to highlight based on the conversations that he had with Coach this week.
Yeah, for the most part, on offense, you're going to look at Carson Woods being the guy. He's going to be leading the offense. It just seemed that, and according to, the coaches, it just seemed like the offense ran more efficiently. And on top of that, there was kind of like an air of comfort with some of the guys that were on offense as well too. Not to say that Malachi did a terrible job or anything like that. It's just that they're just like with what Kenny brings up on the broadcast, is that they're looking for some consistency. They're looking for a guy who's going to, create more plays for them, and just to have a little bit more calculation to each play going through. And again, talking to the offensive coaches, they are disappointed with the turnovers, obviously, but aside from that, they're very pleased with the fact that they still have playmakers, even though they lost some guys over the last couple of years that were really dynamic. But they are going to lean on the quarterback to be able to help them out. You're gonna see some different things with the running backs, so they could be put out in some space because it's apparent the two best athletes on the offensive side of the ball are Bubba Nettles and Ian Jernigan. Both of these guys are committed to not only getting as many wins for BC, but they have some plans for next year. They're both guys that are one and dones here, or really this year one and done. Ian is really a true one and done, but Bubba's going to be done with his eligibility here. These guys have some attention from a lot of schools around the country, and they want to do what they can in the next 5 games to show that not only are they stud athletes like you see on film, but they're able to lead a team as well.
So just can we name drop some of those schools that are looking at these guys?
Nothing quite solidified yet. I know the coaches didn't really want to put it out there, but I know that there's some recruiting stuff that you got to kind of
always
sit back
I
on.
I do have an amazing update for Jernigan based on a conversation I had with his dad. He received an offer from Coach Tyrone Wheatley.
What?
If you remember that name, former running back for the Giants. Michigan. Yeah, Michigan, former Raider running back. Actually called Ian Jernigan the day after the hurdle game. That's what I'm going to call it from now on, after he hurdled the guy. And they saw the game and saw the tape, and they said, hey, always know that recruiters understand situations. We know it's not your fault you didn't come in the second half of a game that you had 100 yards in the first half. We see the system that the team is running where they're rotating personnel. That doesn't affect your recruiting status. So we're going to offer you your first Division I scholarship, or based on your performance and what we see. And that was a great confidence builder for Jernigan as I had a conversation with him, because of course there's frustration based on his lack of output from his individual perspective. So to see him get a call like that from an iconic legend that we all looked up to was great for his recruiting future.
Well, it's got to put that confidence in you that a former pro sees probably himself in you, is what I would assume. At least some flashes of some professional play in there. And you know what? Since we're talking about it a little bit, we were going to get into this story in the second half. I'm not sure how much you guys have seen this, but I'd love to get your thoughts on the NCAA adopting this new transfer portal situation for a lot of these FCS and FBS guys. Not sure exactly how much that's going to affect JUCO transfers. But basically what they're doing is they're moving this now to a 15-day period between January 2nd and January 16th for guys to put their name into transfer portal. Now, there are some obvious exceptions to it if you lose your coach or something like that. But does this kind of affect you guys in JUCO as well in the transfers that are moving up to the D1 schools?
Absolutely, because there's a trickle-down effect. Once the timelines are shrunk, it puts the pressure on recruiters and coaches to be more solid with their communication at the lower levels. You definitely want to have a streamlined situation from the top to the bottom, and it affects every program.
I would assume.
Yeah, even in this situation, we had Carson Woods, who still really hadn't gotten out of the portal until May.
Right.
And had he, I think he'd already had his mind made up in January. And really, if North Texas had to do what they had to do in a 15-day period, they would have probably already let Carson know, hey, look, now's your opportunity to get back to Bakersfield if you need to. And he would have been here a lot sooner than what he was. I think that would have helped out the program. But more importantly, and Kenny and I point this out quite a bit, at least what it does is it allows for some of these students, mid-year grads. I know that there's a lot here in Bakersfield that decide to do the mid-year grad and get to the place where they want to go. If they don't have an offer and these D1 schools don't have everything figured out with the transfer guys, then they actually do get a formal offer. And these true freshmen aren't necessarily going to get their offers yanked for a guy that's going to come in March, with the exception of like what Kenny said, if they lose a coach or something like that. But you're going to see less of that. And for BC, what that means is, at the end of the bowl week that we're going to have, these coaches are going to be right on it. And that's why you see a lot of our coaches from BC out at the high schools really trying to make sure that they know, hey, look, we understand that Bakersfield College JUCO may not be your even near number 4 option, but we want you to know that this is going to be your reserve option. If you decide to stay in town, or if you decide, hey, look, none of these are going to work out for me, these people are not as interested as they were back in the summer, come here, get with us, and we're going to make sure that your prospects are going to go up.
So I take it both of you see this as a positive change then, in at least the college football world, that we're moving this more to a centralized date.
It's not the wild. It's not the Wild West. You put some constructs on it because, I mean, and again, not to say that this was anybody's fault. It's just it was brand new. The courts ruled on it federally. And everybody was like, okay, we're open to do whatever we want now. Boom. And we started until people finally said, hey, look, we got to have at least a little bit of construct to this. That's what we're seeing now. And it helps out too for loyalty. You're going to get to see guys in a program for a while.
And think about it this way, guys. Think about how much bad college football we've watched through the first few weeks of the season, right? A lot of, as the powers that be watch these games, they see how it's affected, solid play in some of the institutions that we all looked up to, as kids growing up watching the game. So you want to try to holster that structure again and try to find a way to bring back the structure and consistency to the game overall.
I agree with you 100%. I've always thought that as well, that it was weird that we had 2 separate transfer portals for football specifically, just because one guy could sit there and say he wants to go to Oregon, transfer to UCLA, and then halfway through UCLA just say, nah, never mind, I want to go to USC. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But at the same time, you got to do what you got to do to keep everybody happy, especially in this world of NIL. What else should we be expected for when it comes to Cerritos? I know Rob did a fantastic job last week breaking down pretty much what they have coming at us, but we didn't get a lot of the defensive side, Kenny, since you weren't with us last week. What could we expect from the BC defense this week?
The defense is going to be healthy. We're getting guys back like Walker Mino and really finding a way to just use the bad film that we had from the losses, and get healthy. I think when you have time as a defense to get healthy and reevaluate film, it just helps you prepare better. And I'm excited for the guys because we've seen them play at a high level. And I know personally, after talking to a few coaches, that the stuff that was happening on the opposite side of the ball really affected the morale of players. And once you get that kind of stuff straightened out, you see the camaraderie and the uniformed process take place on the defensive side of the ball. Because really, all defensive guys want to do is hit people, eat, and sleep. You know what I mean? Like,
what to do,
we don't want to worry about what's going on other sides of the ball. But when that stuff starts to affect wins and losses, it takes away from your passion to play. Once that stuff gets organized, you can get back to focusing on hitting people, eating, and sleeping.
Love it. Love it. Then some self-indulgent question for you guys before we let you guys go and get to our break. We'll go with the sulfur first for the molasses. Kenny, apologies for your Florida State Seminoles over the weekend losing to Virginia. How do you feel like you guys are going to bounce back, man?
Well, the funny thing about that, I have my high school classmate, Dean Taylor, who's a devoted Miami fan. He was home from Oklahoma City for the
Okay.
first time in forever.
Virginia fan. I was
And
like, wait, we have
we had a
Virginia
chance to
fans?
watch the game together.
That's
Well, we had a chance to watch it together, and he rubbed it in on me. So, but Miami's a good football team. They definitely are a way better team than I think they were a better team this year than they were last year. And for Florida State, you just got to look at it in a positive way based on how you fought back into that game. Ends up 22-26, against a much better team. I think Florida State's going to be all right, and we're already better than we were last year.
Absolutely. Then Rob, big game for our Trojans this weekend, taking on the Wolverines. How you feeling?
As long as Jordan Mailata, does what he did in the first 4 games, we're gonna be all right.
I still think we could have beat the Illini. I still think we should have beat the Illini.
Absolutely, 100% should have. 100% should have. But
gave
again,
up.
hey, there's that interesting stat. Lincoln Riley, since they've been there, USC is 0-12 on the road in games played before noon.
Don't you tell me that. Now I'm going to have to bet against them every time they play before noon.
Wow.
Jay,
this is the game that means
don't you start. I'm a Phillies fan. We're not even going to get into that one.
This is it right here, buddy.
We got to let you guys go. Thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you guys next week. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield.
Later, guys.
Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We will be joined here momentarily by 559 champion German Taboda, who is unfortunately, again, public service announcement if you live in Bakersfield, stay off of California Avenue. And I'm not saying that because I'm an old curmudgeon that doesn't want you on his street. I'm saying that for your own benefit. These guys have been digging up this street for the better part of 2 months, and no, they're not done yet. And I won't even get into it about all the questionable things that have been said from those same construction workers to me and other people who live on that street. But city should be well aware that those guys are not good people. But it is what it is. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm sorry. Parking in front of people's garages, getting mad at people for asking you to move when you're, the one that's causing the issue. I don't know exactly what the issue is. Real quick, before we get German in here, though, I got some news out of the world of combat sports. For those of you who are UFC fans, Donald Trump has signed off on UFC at the White House event that'll be taking place June 14th. Of next year. The card is yet to be announced, but at this point, you can expect all of America's best fighters to be a part of this. And honestly, it's going to be one of the best ones to actually be on television. It should be free. You shouldn't have to actually pay for this one. If I remember correctly and I read correctly, this one will be free of charge for all of you UFC fans. So June 14th, live from the White House lawn. As I said, we will eventually get UFC and Dana White just tearing it up for every American. It's going to be fantastic. But our guest is here. Let me switch over for our Zoom.
The champ is here.
He is here. He didn't bring the belt this time.
No.
He was in a hurry. I know. I get you. German, how are you, my friend?
Good
How
morning.
are things?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready for this weekend?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Now, hold on. We have to do a little bit of, setting the table, because last time you were here, you had a championship fight that unfortunately got canceled because of your opponent. So let's talk about that real quick. What all went down?
Man, I didn't even know until I guess until the day of the event. I went to go corner my buddy, and I guess he was jumping a fence and he messed up his hip. I don't know how that happened. Honestly though, man, I don't think he was ready.
Nah, you think it's just one of those things where he's just like, I'm not gonna be able to win.
I'm gonna jump a fence right now.
I seen him walking around just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna throw this out there. There were a lot of people jumping the fence after Village Fest trying to get to their cars. So he might have been one of those. I don't know. But that is still like that's gotta suck though. When you have been prepping for how long were you prepping for that fight? At least 2 months, right?
2 months, about 2 months and a half. Yes.
And then all of it to come to a screeching halt. You guys couldn't find anybody to fill the spot, obviously. So how does that make you feel as the guy who kind of just got left out of the card?
It's bittersweet because obviously I wanna continue my career.
Right.
I want to continue, but at the same time, I don't mind digging into some cake. You know what I mean?
Right. At least get the
Yeah.
cheap day started a little early.
Oh yeah, I started early. I blew up, man, but I'm back. I'm back in it. I'm back. I got my squares back on me.
You guys keep telling us you blow up in between these fights. I need to see y'all in between the fights then, because I highly doubt y'all are that much bigger than you actually are. But then again, that's just the lifestyle, right? You guys just go ham when you can, and when you can't, obviously you're living, with scraps on your plate.
I mean, what is blowing up to you?
Yeah, really.
I mean,
because blowing up to me is like 250. I was 250 at one point.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
I swear to God, I was 250 about a year and a half ago.
How much do you weigh right now?
200.
Oh, that's good.
I just dropped down.
You look good.
Actually, I'm about 190 is what 195.
Okay.
But yeah, I was 250 at one point before. Well, during the podcast days? Because it wasn't that long ago, but it was still long ago.
Yes,
I can't sit there and say that. But yeah, what's blowing up to you?
170 with a big not a beer belly filled with beer, but obviously a lot of sweets. Just
really?
Sweets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Candies and cakes, obviously. From what you said.
Desserts.
Oh,
Desserts is a go-to. And my mom likes to make arroz con leche, rice and milk. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Fire, bro.
Oh,
That Mexican dish.
Trust me, I grew up all around Hispanic families, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But
yes, sir.
How did you really go about it? Like when you figured it out that this guy wasn't going to be able to fight you, did you guys just sit there and sporadically say, okay, who's the first guy we can get on the phone?
They tried getting someone. No one wanted the contract. Obviously, it's kind of hard to stay ready as an amateur. Not a lot of amateurs do it, which we should. But no one was ready, and we tried, and unsuccessful, and here we are. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you're already set up, ready for this one coming up this weekend in. I'm sorry, no, you guys are in Eagle Mountain.
Yes,
this
Eagle
time
Mountain
we're going to
Casino.
be in Porterville this year.
Yes.
So, who are we fighting this time? What can we expect from your opponent?
He's 5-3. His name's Johnny Diaz. He can scrap. He, I respect all my.
No
opponents.
relation to Nate Diaz or the Diaz boys.
No,
Okay,
he's not.
Then you're
about,
fine.
He's not about that smoke. He's not that tall. He's 5'5". He probably smokes weed though, but I mean, I don't know that's on him.
I mean, look, man, a lot of people do. I'm not gonna sit here and say yes.
But yeah, it's gonna be a good fight, bro. It's gonna be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. My buddies actually fought him twice already.
Really?
So we're kind of familiar with his fighting style and everything.
Okay.
And how he moves and everything, patterns, I guess. But man, nothing special to be honest. Just another scrap.
Okay. Is he more of a striker, wrestler? What are we looking at here?
He has an overhand and he tries to wrestle.
Does he?
But whichever way he wants to go, honestly, I think I'm just better. Respectfully, I think I'm just better.
Well, see, this question has now come up a couple times, but
Yes, sir.
we had a fighter in here, Jesus, who is a wrestler. He is a firm believer that wrestling is the best way to really get started in this kind of work, in this kind of field. Do you agree with that? Do you think wrestlers are just innately the best UFC fighters or MMA fighters, I should say?
I think so. It's that grit, bro. It's that grit to want to take it down like to the ground, and obviously just the cardio, bro. Striking is fun and all, but if you can't handle that gridiron, just hard nosed impact, man, you're gonna struggle.
When we talk to our boy Sal, he's like, they just want to get lazy and wrestle. I'm a fighter. I want to knock out somebody.
Right.
So I can see the difference.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're a champ. So I mean, what is the best? I mean, going through looking for opponents, do you ideal look for certain types of fighters, or you're just bring them on?
Bring them on, bro. Honestly, I've never said no so far, unless I get a Russian. You know what I mean? I'll contemplate it. To be honest,
said the same thing. Sal said the same thing.
Nah, you don't mess with those guys, dude.
They're different, bro. They're different.
Like, he said his first fight was against one. He said
Russian people.
I had to check myself.
Islamic people, like, dude, there is a different level of fighting style over there, bro. Because like they take Olympic wrestling probably as serious as we take football.
Yeah.
And that's just the level of it. Like if you aren't ready to take it to that level, you're gonna get beat up.
It's crazy,
I don't
bro.
blame you guys.
They train in the mountains, bro.
Yeah,
you know what
do.
I mean?
And that cold weather, man, you could take a lot of hits from that. I'm telling you, every time I see, this is why I don't blame you guys at all for just saying, nah, I don't want any smoke from that area, because these guys are otherworldly monsters. I don't think I'd be able to.
And Sal can crack, bro. Oh my God, that dude can hit hard.
Well, he was talking about, what was it, the last fighter? Because I think the last one, he only had like 2 weeks to get ready for the fight. And he said not a lot of people will take those fights.
No,
but the other thing was he was talking about blowing up. One was the other thing. He said it was difficult because he only had 2 weeks to lose that weight. But the other thing was that he said a lot of those wrestlers, they only got a couple moves. And he said it's lazy fighting. He said they try to, submit exactly what his words were. It's boring. And he said, I'm out here trying to put up fireworks and let people know I'm here to fight. That's why you and Sal are my favorite fighters. And I know 559 is getting bigger and bigger. I saw the tickets. We talked to our boy Sergio. Tickets are very limited. Go to 559fights.com. And there was another thing he brought up. So is there some type of promo code?
Yes, for you as well, because he was telling us about the S Bruno code for him and how it kind of works. So I'm assuming you have one as well.
Yes, mine's G.Taboda, Taboada. Weird last name, but it's unique. You know
we'll post it.
Absolutely.
I got some physical tickets too, but I honestly I've probably sold about 60, man. I got a lot of people going through, man.
Absolutely.
It's a really good show, pro-am show. Chiwi's little brother is gonna be fighting that night too. Pretty exciting.
Absolutely.
And now it's streaming. If you wait too long, I guess they're streaming now on YouTube. They've got all sorts of stuff
on UFC Fight Pass as well.
Nice.
See, I remember Sal telling us that it will be on Fight Pass, but the YouTube thing is what gets me, because I just now caught it. I think it was like a fight ago or 2 fights ago. I was just kind of scrolling through looking for you guys and just like highlight reels. And I realized they have the whole fight card on here. Like, oh my God, you don't even have to go if you're all the way in Bakersfield or something in Visalia. You can catch it anytime.
It's growing, man.
Absolutely.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
And what do you expect to see from Porterville and this crowd this weekend?
Ooh, loud, a lot of energy, man. To be honest, especially at a casino. I went last time and I didn't fight there, but man, that energy was different compared to the convention center. It was just like, it felt like a real UFC event.
Nice.
And I was like, damn, one day I want to be here. And
Of
here I
course.
am, dude.
Here you
I
are,
am.
You're
dude.
right around
God
the
is
corner,
good.
brother.
Yeah,
I'm telling
dude.
you. And how does that so that's got to be a weird feeling though, being in a casino after you win or lose. Like
Gamble.
you're either ready to just spend all your money on alcohol because you just got your butt kicked, or you're ready to gamble it all away because you feel like you can win the world. So how does that, I mean, you just talked about it, how it gave you a little bit more of a UFC feel, but how in that way did it give you that feeling?
Man, just the aura, man. The aura and like, especially fighting with professionals and me on the way up to become a professional, it just hypes me up even more, man. Like I can be that guy, just like these individuals. You know what I mean? Why not me? You know what I mean? And that just motivates me, like, especially coming from nothing and just starting this game late and having success. It's inspiring, bro.
You know,
to be honest.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that Bakersfield people in general have that mindset of why not us? Because I mean, we're 2 hours away from LA where all of this stuff happens. And when you really look at what Kern County and Bakersfield and, you know, all the areas around us, your Delanos, your Arvins, what they're able to produce in terms of athletes,
Crazy.
We're a gold mine.
Yeah.
We genuinely are. I can't think of another county in America that had at one point 3-4 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
I've heard that.
I mean, I can't think of another one where all these, maybe in Texas,
Florida,
maybe. But for it to come from Kern, not even the LA area, not the Fresno area, it's Kern. Crazy. So it's like, I love hearing athletes like you guys have that mentality of why not me? Because realistically, dude, why not you?
And even going back into wrestling and the fighters, I mean, we've had, Stephen Neal, we've had our boy Brian Cobb, who just got an Olympic gold in the last couple months. I mean, we're hungry. Yes, I think that's what it is. We're hungry. We could read it off his face right now. He's ready to fight now.
When you get a hungry farm boy that wants to make it, there are not a lot of people that can beat that. I'm telling you right now. So
you guys are motivating me.
Absolutely.
That's inspiring.
Well, you got one more week left.
Absolutely.
Next weekend.
You got to wait for a little bit. But so with there being pro-am people around in this fight, being somebody that's a journalist that obviously anytime that I am in those spaces, I'll be at the Raider game again this weekend. So if you don't think I'm going to be in people's ears, you're crazy. Are you going to be chirping at some of these guys, trying to potentially get them to at least remember your name for when that fight contract eventually comes by and says, oh yeah, I remember that kid from Bakersfield. Let's give him a shot. Are you one of those people that kind of like, not necessarily chirps to a point where you're about to fight him backstage, but at least gets your name remembered?
Yeah, honestly, I agree. Everybody. I'll shake everybody's hand, and especially when we're cutting weight and we're suffering and we're just right there waiting, looking dead. We tend to stare at each other, glance, and I'm just like you know what I mean. And they remember me. People remember me. It's crazy. It's really cool, to be honest with you, because we don't forget as fighters. We really don't, especially at during those
even
moments.
with all the headshots and stuff. You don't remember nothing?
No.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But no, you're right. I mean, being personable, dude. I don't think a lot of people really realize how far that goes.
Yes, sir.
I think we live in a world, especially post-COVID, where everybody is so secluded into themselves that we don't even get people to say hi anymore. Like you walk by, I'll have people that work with us that probably don't even know my name because they'll just walk by with a scowl on their face. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to say hi to you because like, that's how the world is these days. Like you're not going to talk to people.
And I mean, growing up, I knew there was a lot of fighting at our school and it was always the mouthy ones that really had nothing. Right. It was the one quiet ones that were respectful that you really had to worry about. And that's what, I mean, I've learned a lot from a lot of fighters. I did a lot of wrestling when I was younger and boxing when I was about 12, 13. I couldn't take that next step though. So that's a whole different world, man.
Dude, when it becomes an actual competition where you have to knock the guy out, I'm with you. Like I've gotten into boxing in terms of like workout and stuff like that. But looking across from somebody being like, all right, I got to knock this guy out. I don't know if I can do it, dude. I'm too old for that. I'm not like, I don't have that, like, I need to just use my anger mentality anymore. I haven't had that since I was in high school. So it's
Would you guys like more, boxing or wrestling?
Boxing.
I
was more of a boxer.
I mean, my height and weight, I liked learning the basics for wrestling because there's nothing, you never know what's going to happen. And I was always the shorter guy.
Right.
And I tell my son the same thing. It's not worried about how big these guys are. they fall quicker too. So I think it's just the basics, learning the basics and being able to defend yourself. But I'm excited, man. Next weekend, you got me all pumped up.
Right?
If you can't make it out there, like you said, it's on the Fight Pass. It's on YouTube. Follow 559 Fights. But get those tickets and go to 559fights.com. And what's the promo code?
G.Taboda.
Taboda. Don't
I'll
forget to spell that
share
for
that
people
in.
real quick.
Taboada.
Fantastic. And then real quick, before we let you go, I was talking about it before you walked in.
Yes, sir.
Donald Trump has signed off on UFC on the White House lawn. How do you feel about that? And year from now, are you going to be, are we talking about German in the card at the USC, the U.S.'s biggest UFC fight?
No, not yet. I need time. But I'll be a pro by then, God willing. But talking about that event, man, it's kind of crazy, to be honest with you. It's kind of
there's no
like
other
circus.
President that we've ever had that would actually
like a circus
do this.
to
Exactly.
me. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's kind of weird.
It's a circus. Don't get me wrong, but that's how the UFC makes their money, man. How do you think they got started? It was always a circus.
It's gonna be cool.
It's always the circus, brother. I'm
I was
telling
like,
you.
what's next though?
That's true. That's very true. I mean, maybe at the center of the Pentagon. Can we do that?
Oh, that's good.
On the site of Ground Zero. No, I'm just kidding. We can't go that
Area
far.
51.
Area 51.
Right?
There
Area
you
51.
go. All the Naruto kids running right at it. Who will knock out first? Will we get a UFC fighter knock somebody out, or will the kid reach the octagon?
Yes, sir.
At this point, though, my friend, thank you so much for your time. We would love to have you on, as always, no matter what, when you're having a fight. But we need that belt back. So next time you're in here, that belt better be around your waist.
It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere.
I'm just saying.
Let's go.
You never know. But I'm rooting for you this weekend, my friend. Thank you so much for your time. We will talk to you again soon. Okay. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the early bird special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m.
A quick shout out to all of our 559 fighters.
Absolutely.
The fight is next Sunday. Sunday.
I thought it was this week. Man.
So did I. We got an
Thank
extra
God.
week. You'll
Thank
be at
God.
the Raiders game
I will be.
with our buddy JR. Was it
Hopefully getting
the
some
Titans and Raiders?
Titans and Raiders. Hopefully get you guys some audio straight from the source
Oh,
from Pete
yeah.
Carroll, Geno Smith, and company. Plus,
Ashton.
I'm going to try to get some Ashton audio. I will try to get some Ashton audio. I'm going to try to go over and get some Cam audio.
That's what I was just going to ask.
I'm going to try to go over there and talk to some people in Tennessee.
Now that you know you're a little more comfortable up
Uh-huh.
in there.
I'm going to look at JR and say, hey, I'm going to let you handle the Raider guys. I'm going to go handle the Tennessee Titans.
He's still shell-shocked from standing with
Because if you
Max
don't think I
Crosby.
got some questions for Cam Ward, how ass are you guys?
I mean,
Sorry.
when you throw out your team and call them ass and then you turn around and win,
Yeah.
that's
How long have you been waiting for this head coach to be fired?
Right.
I don't know exactly what I'm going to say.
But
I
our
got plenty of
boys
questions.
over at BC homecoming game Saturday, I'll be over there running that while he's headed to
Absolutely.
Vegas. And just a shout out, obviously my full-time job is over at MoneyWise, and we are officially down at K Street in the Woolworths building, and we got to meet up with the Woolworth crew. The diner will open to the public on Monday. Monday. I believe the hours are 11 to 9. And Reverb Coffee actually will be open at 6 a.m. They are the centerpiece right when you walk up to the Woolworths. So the coffee shop will be open at 6 a.m. And then around 11, the side door will open for the Woolworths diner. I will say, we got to test out some of the food last night. And I will say, there was a lot of people worried, it's not going to be like the original. Dude, this burger and fries are bomb.
It's worth it.
And I grew up with the Woolworths diner, and I will say right now, Chef Richard knows what he's doing. He is the founder of Moo Creamery, and I couldn't ask for a better chef.
Burgers from Moo Creamery are fantastic.
Exactly, and these burgers are melt in your mouth bomb. And I'm not just saying it because I'm on the payroll.
Nope.
But these burgers,
Look,
I'll let you guys test it out and let me know first.
Don't even worry about what he just said. I am a burger connoisseur, okay, and I am not on the payroll. I can tell you right now, these burgers are probably going to be fantastic, just solely because Moo Creamery is the center of it. However, I have been waiting for a burger like this or burger place like this downtown for a long time. Because when I tell you I grew up on 34th Street Car Wash Burgers, and for those of you who did the same, you know exactly where I'm getting at. Have never been the same since they moved. I'm sorry. I know y'all are trying your best. I'm not sitting there saying your burgers are bad because they're not. They're still fantastic. Go down to 24th Street in that Chevron and go get one while you're getting your car washed. However, I need a home style burger joint downtown.
Dude, I had a double cheeseburger. It was my cheat night. I had a double cheeseburger, and it was a smash burger on top of that. And it was just melting my mouth. But I had the chili fries, and I was talking to one of the managers, and he was saying, next time it's on the secret menu.
Absolutely.
But they've got woolly fries.
Woolly fries.
And I was like, what? What is that? And he said, it's kind of like the In-N-Out animal style. And I said, really? And I said, well, I'll be right upstairs. So I'll test that out next time. But I'm a big chili guy.
So did we get
those chili fries were fire.
Did we get a dumbwaiter, from the studio to the diner so I can get my lunch on the way out?
We talked about it, but we'll be going upstairs.
Darn.
So we'll see it on the way out.
All
But
right.
another thing I wanted to bring up, our boy Alejandro, who will join us next Friday.
Yes, Bakersfield
I
Pizza
didn't know
Company.
until yesterday, but Bakersfield Pizza Company has a lunch special.
Really?
And you go to McDonald's, you go anywhere, it's 15, 18 bucks for a lunch.
Now. It's stupid.
But they have a early bird special, lunch special. For 12 bucks, you get a slice and a drink. And I'm not talking about a little small slice. It's a big New York style slice of pizza. So 12 bucks, you get a slice of
New
pizza.
York style slice and a drink
and
for 12
a drink.
bucks.
Just let them know you heard it on the early bird special, and you might just get a free drink out of that.
Yeah,
But
you know what? I don't want y'all to know that. I'm gonna go eat all myself. You guys don't get none.
I know we previewed this yesterday. Was wondering what the heck LeBron was talking about with this tweet.
Oh,
and the big announcement 9 a.m. yesterday. What was the big deal? Is he retiring?
No.
Is he going to Miami again?
No.
What?
He made a deal with Hennessy.
Hennessy.
Now, okay. For those of you who much like myself and Spark yesterday, we're just sitting there thinking and joking, maybe this is him saying he's going to retire or he's leaving the LA Lakers, much like he did with the Cavaliers, and saying, I'm taking my talents to insert name here. The only thing that made me kind of think that this wasn't going to be anything serious was the fact that it was maybe a 12 to 24 hour push. But for all of this to come out as a cognac ad, really? LeBron. Like, I am a massive LeBron fan, have been since I was a kid, and will forever be. And he's not necessarily my GOAT, but he's definitely up there. But if he ever wondered why people don't like him in a personal space, it's for stuff like this. They hated you the first time you did the decision. Like, as much Miami fans may not have, but everybody else did. You made a big deal out of your free agency decisions, and now you doubled down on it.
Decision of
cognac ad. And for those of you who are sitting there listening, well, if it's just he's just partnering with Hennessy. No, of course, he's getting his own bottle, his very own, very special OP, or I can't even remember what VSOP even stands for. It's actually a type of cognac. It's not a like very special, original, whatever. It's actually the name. The name of it escapes me right now. But regardless, this just loaded every hater's gun just to aim every bullet at LeBron one more time and say, wow, how full of himself is this guy really? Because that's the first thing you're going to hear from every LeBron hater is, wow, LeBron's so full of himself. Look at this, all this for an ad for cognac. And I don't blame them, to be completely honest with you. But Bron, like, did we not learn the first time? Like, seriously, did we not learn the first time that maybe the decision wasn't a good idea? And now, not only, and I was talking to our guy KG about this yesterday because he called me after my nephew's, or I'm sorry, I called him, but we talked about this a little bit. He brought it up, but he says, like, is that the most stereotypical thing you've ever heard? And I said, yes, there is a reason that Hennessy really hasn't had very many African-American spokespeople, and it's because of the negative connotation that comes from the stereotype of African-American people drinking cognac. And here's LeBron selling his soul, making money from it in typical LeBron fashion.
I was really hoping for something else. I mean, when you tweet out decision of decisions coming up 9 a.m. tomorrow.
After the show yesterday, just because I knew the decision was coming up at 9 o'clock, I went to YouTube to see if there was a live stream, right? The minute I saw no live stream, I knew, okay, this ain't real. This is just an ad or something. But when I tell you there were dozens of people that have shows just like us that stream on YouTube that were doing a special episode just solely for this. And for those of you who are wondering, well, how far did this reach? This reached so far that the Lakers upped their season tickets to over $700 a piece for nosebleeds, and people were paying for them. That's how much the people actually believed LeBron was going to retire with this. And for all of it to come out that it was just a Hennessy ad, if you're a Lakers fan, you bought tickets last night because you thought this was going to be LeBron's retirement tour announcement, I'm sorry. I'm personally sorry. You're not getting that money back, but I'm sorry. Because the Lakers played you, LeBron played you like a bass fiddle, and now you're just going to have to deal with it. But for them to hike up those tickets that much, and mind you, like we're talking about $500-$600 increases, 700 plus, that's wild to me. And all of that was because he made everybody believe that this was going to be some sort of major decision towards his career. I can't get over it, dude. I just can't. This is a joke. And honestly, this is going to be one of those things that people are going to bring up along with the decision one at the end of his career of why people didn't like him and why he's not their GOAT. Because just on a personal level, although he's never really done anything negative to get himself in trouble outside of the game, really in the game either, this type of stuff, selling your soul, that ain't the way.
Unless it was called the flop special or something. I'm not interested.
It's
But
just a nice little Hennessy bottle with LeBron's face on it.
oh gosh,
That's all it is.
And collectors will get in line to buy them, and I'm sure
I'm wondering how much it is. It's probably like $300 for the bottle.
But we'll take our break. We'll get into our waiver Wednesday. We've got your text for lineup questions. We'll get to that after the break. We are the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 1230 a.m.
101.1 FM.
God, I love this song. I'm the only one that hears this and immediately thinks Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused.
Love this. I love that movie in general, but yes,
One of my favorites.
oh, The only one. Actually, that's the movie that gave us Matthew McConaughey. I will credit that to the day I die. That is the movie that gave you Matthew McConaughey. He was only supposed to be.
Quit.
He was only supposed to be in one scene, and then he kind of just did something himself. And the director said, "You know what? We like that. Do it again." They brought him in a whole bunch of times, and that's how we got Matthew McConaughey.
Created a character.
Hey.
But Waiver Wednesday, I know we've got some lineup questions.
Yes.
We'll get to it. But starting off with quarterback, I was almost going to put Joe Flacco in there, but I'm going to give him a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch
I went with the Sam Darnold. I mean, he torched Tampa last week, had over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. And if you're looking for a quarterback, Sam Darnold might be the guy, at least for a Band-Aid for a week or two.
Sam Darnold, I've always loved, especially at his time at USC, but the last couple of years with fantasy football, it's just been so sporadic. I've stayed away. Personally, my pickup this week is Mac Jones. If Brock Purdy does not start, that's the outlier, obviously. But if Mac goes out and plays against Tampa Bay, as we just stated, gave up a lot of points to Sam Darnold last week. They're 28th in points given up to quarterbacks in fantasy football this year. And Mac Jones, still, from what I could tell, rostered in less than 2% of your guys' leagues right now. So if you're needing a quarterback, if you are one of those guys that just can't really respect Aaron Rodgers or some of these lower guys, maybe your Trevor Lawrence is still kind of on the bubble of what you want, Mac Jones has produced every single week he's been out there as the starter, and the 49ers have been winning. So I would say ride with Mac.
At running back, I went with Michael Carter. With all the injuries in Arizona, we already talked about Amari and his deal, but he got 23 touches last week, and officially Arizona is calling him the running back one. So, I mean, running backs are hit and miss. I know there is some injuries over in San Diego or the Chargers. I know that there's a couple that are kind of up in the air with who's going to get more carries. I think they'll roll with the hot hand, but this week I roll with Michael Carter.
Running backs were tricky for me. I know we had a text message earlier in the week that said that they were absolutely demoralized at running back, and so am I. So I had to take a little deep dive here and figure out who was going to be the guy here. Personally, I know a lot of you are picking up the running backs from the Chargers. I like Hassan Haskins if you are going in that area, but this will be a running back by committee until Omari Hampton gets back. So I wouldn't expect either of them to be huge number getters for you. But the one that I think that everybody really should look at if your league still has him available is Rico Dowdle. Because with Chuba Hubbard still kind of dealing with an injury, Rico had a 200-yard game last week against Miami. And granted, Miami's rush defense is awful.
Horrible.
But Rico is also a proven running back in every instance where he has started. So if Rico gets the nod again as the starting running back one in Carolina, I'd say run with him. He could pick up some good numbers for you.
And over at wide receiver with San Francisco's top wideouts out, and we saw what Kendrick Bourne brought with Mac Jones. If Mac Jones plays, I would definitely go with Kendrick Bourne because they already have a relationship. Yep. They worked well together in New England and now Frisco. I think if you're looking for a wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne might just be that guy.
And you know what? I had Kendrick Bourne as well, but for the sake of giving you guys another option, instead of just piggybacking off Sparky's brilliant mind here, I'm going to go with Tyquan Thornton from Kansas City. We've talked about him a couple times. He's only rostered in about 10 to 11% of your guys' leagues right now, and he has gotten a healthy amount of targets from Patrick Mahomes, gaining that confidence with this receiver that they desperately need right now. I know I said it yesterday. There's not a lot of guys outside of Juju Smith-Schuster that get the ball thrown to them multiple times in a game, and at this point, Thornton seems to be that other guy, so I would ride with him.
And at tight end, I put A.J. Barner. I'm going to ride with the Seahawks this week. Not only is he tied for most touchdowns in the season for a tight end, but he seems to be that guy that Sam Darnold relies on.
Oh, Sam loves his tight end, much like Tua loves his. But I'm going to throw one out there for you guys that I saw last week, and I heard a story that's really making me believe this, and I'll explain why. I'm going to tell you guys to take Theo Johnson from the Giants. Okay, 2% roster taken in most of your fantasy football leagues. So promise you he is there. Granted, they're going against the Eagles on Thursday, and you know how we feel about Thursday night games. But Jackson Dart and Theo have a very, very good relationship, almost best friend level relationship. And Theo was a main target for him last week against the Saints. 7 receptions, 33 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Those 2 big touchdowns in the red zone are going to continue as the season progresses with a rookie quarterback. And as we all know, rookie quarterbacks need a big body receiver, a big tight end to give them that safety blanket they require to be successful. I think Theo is that guy for the Giants. So personally, if you're looking for a guy that's going to get you a couple touchdowns, maybe you need someone to fill a spot for tight end for a week, Theo Johnson might be your guy.
And going through our listeners' text is the first one, is CD playing this weekend?
That I am not 100% sure. I have not heard anything as of yet. Wouldn't be surprised if he does come back. But with the success that Dallas saw last weekend, also wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, take another week. George and Dak can handle it.
The last I read that he was pushing to play last week and that he is 50-50 for this week. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week. The
Same
next
with
one
Lamar.
Says Travis Kelce or Darren Waller this week.
Ooh, that's a toughie. Personally, I'm going to have to go with Darren Waller. He is heating up, and honestly, Miami's offense does seem like they want to run through him, whereas Kansas City, although we love Travis Kelce Swift, but I mean, you can't deny that his play has regressed in the last couple of years, so I think your higher ceiling will be with Darren.
What kicker should I pick? I got Cardi from the Rams or McManus from the Packers, or even Lutz in Denver.
Ooh, Lutz in Denver is always a solid choice.
Is Lutz
to be on.
Kicking in Denver?
I don't know if he is.
I know there's a couple that are coming off of the IR that I'm not sure if they're playing. I personally like McManus.
McManus is, I mean, he's the top point getter, isn't he, right now for
well,
kickers?
It was the Colts kicker until he dropped last week.
True. And Sly from Tennessee, I know, is getting a lot of points as well, but that's just because, again, as we said earlier, Tennessee is awful. So personally, I have to ride with Sparky. I think McManus is probably your best bet, although I love Will Lutz. I've won leagues with Will Lutz just because of how accurate he is. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you have a chance to take McManus, I would probably take McManus.
And I will say, when you're looking for kickers, look at the stats, look at the game log, and see how many misses they have.
Yeah,
because it's been a crazy year for kickers.
Actually, I'm sorry, I'm getting McManus switched up with Tampa Bay's kicker McLaughlin. So McLaughlin was the one that's been money. McManus is still pretty good money though with Green Bay, so I would still ride with him.
The next one says, "Hey guys, will you drop or keep Judy and get Rashid?"
Yes. Or
should I roll with Vital from the Chargers? And that brings up the same question, because the Chargers got a couple running backs, and I think it's just going to be more 50-50 who's
really
getting hot.
Personally, yes, drop Jerry Jeudy right now, because he has not been I have him as well, and it's been a lackluster year. And
Shahid's been looking good.
Shahid is I picked him up last week just to have an extra wide receiver in our CBS league, and I'm sorry, I always get Shahid and the other guy mixed up from the Saints. This Shahid's the one in Buffalo, right?
Shahid is the
Saints guy. Okay, good. No, yeah, that is the one I picked up then. His big 80-yard touchdown got me like massive points in the league. So Shahid, I have always have a soft spot for, just because he's been that deep threat for the Saints for a couple years. Problem is that those balls come few and far between because of who's throwing them. So I personally, it's a really hard thing for me to tell you to do, because Jerry Jeudy has been so awful, but I wouldn't drop him for one of the LA Charger running backs, only because, like I told you a little bit ago during the waiver wire, this will be a running back by committee, which means neither Vidal or Hassan are going to be getting the bulk of the carries, if that many carries at all.
It's just like rolling dice, and
exactly.
Hopefully you hit gold. The next one says, Gannon gets a fine for, come on, you got to be better than that. Kind of slap to the chest, but Andy Reid can shoulder bump Kelce without any issues. Soft.
I'm glad someone brought that up, because you're right. I mean, we've seen Andy Reid and Travis yelling at each other, just getting in each other's faces on the sideline. But here's the difference. Andy never really put hands on him. A shoulder check you can get away with, kind of just saying, it was just kind of a shoulder brush that went a little harder than expected. Putting hands on a guy, that's completely different. So I agree with you, soft and definite favoritism, but when you really boil it down, there is a massive difference between the two.
The next one says, when I hear Slow Ride, I immediately think, hey, that was on Guitar Hero.
That was on Guitar Hero. You're absolutely correct. And I know a lot of people that feel the exact same way about a whole bunch of different rock songs that I love.
And the last one says, watch out for the Yankees. It's not over. And don't write off the Phillies. They can get hot at any time.
Look,
too much talent to think they'll get swept, but we will find out today.
Yanks surprised me last night. I'm not going to lie to you. You went down 6-1, and I thought for sure this was done. But then I was at my nephew's football game. My brother-in-law looked at me and said, the Yankees are tied. I said, excuse me?
And they should have done what you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blocked Judge.
Again, I can only give you the answer. I can't have you, take the answer. Why you don't bury Bonds, Judge, I will never know. Just don't let him swing the bat. It's that simple. Honestly, at this point, I would say the same thing about Shohei if Shohei wasn't a base stealer too. If Shohei was slow, I would be saying, Philly, just walk him. But then again, we're not losing because of Shohei Ohtani, to be completely honest with you. We're losing because of Teoscar Hernandez and all of these ridiculous hits by Kike. But at the end of the day, I appreciate that you have more faith in me than in my Phils. Series is over. We're done.
We'll take a break. We'll wrap up the show. We'll preview Thursday's show, and we'll preview today's foursome of baseball all day, starting at 11:30 right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. think we need more Kendrick on the show. Always down for you. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Streaming video every single weekday from 7 to 9 in the morning as the show goes on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can join us every single day or go back and watch past episodes and interviews and all that type of stuff on our YouTube channel. Just look for the Early Bird Special, our logo, and all that type of stuff. Like, share, subscribe. There's plenty to talk about, though, as we wrap up the show here in the final 5 minutes. We got an incredible slate of playoff baseball for you. Starting at noon today, you'll have the Seattle Mariners at the Detroit Tigers as Sparky's Mariners try to wrap up the series tonight. Bryce Miller will be taking the helm for the Mariners as Casey Mize will be the pitcher for the Tigers. Then at 2 o'clock, the Brewers and Cubbies get underway. Brew Crew looking to wrap that series up as well, as I believe Prester will be the pitcher for the Brewers, and Tallman will be the pitcher for the Cubbies. 4 o'clock, we got the Blue Jays and the Yankees, as our texter just brought up. Don't give up on the Yankees. Personally, I've already done it, but it is what it is. Verland will be the pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Schlittler, the fantastic rookie pitcher from a couple series games ago, will be hopefully saving the Yankees season. And then we end at 6 o'clock. Final game of my Phillies season.
I don't see it.
Aaron Nola and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And the fact that we're playing Nola. Look, I love Aaron Nola since he's been a Philly. But he has been he's been worse this year. I won't say he's been garbage because he hasn't been garbage. But it should be Ranger Suarez in that spot.
I think the Mariners are the only one that closes out today.
Really? You think that's it? You don't think the Blue Jays pull it off?
I think the Cubs get one. The Yankees pull one. I think they force a game 5 for the Yankees. And I still think the Phillies will at least get one.
I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. But me and the rest of Philadelphia we're done. We don't believe in y'all no more. I'm sorry. Or at least not this year.
And it was cool last night or after the rain delay. I was tried to rush over to watch the game, and then it got rain delay and it got pushed back and back
2 hours.
And I was like, damn, man, that one day we're not on the air. I get to watch the Mariners game and they push it back. But it was awesome to see the fan with the 6'1" Cal shirt, and Cal hit it right to him.
That was like, awesome.
How did you do that, dude?
Honestly, I mean, look, man, it's easy when you can hit home runs like Cal Raleigh can, and you could launch them in any part of the field. But I agree with you. I love just all of the big dumper stuff that Seattle loves to run here. And for those of you who didn't see it, they had a bobblehead that was Cal Raleigh, but instead of his head being the bobblehead, it was his butt. I thought that was hilarious.
They have videos of him signing butt cracks.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where baseball is the only sport where you can really get away with that, because no other athlete in football, basketball, you would never allow yourself to have the nickname Big Dumper. But baseball, for some reason, baseball players like, you know what? Sure. Why not? It works. I'll just run with it. I hope you're right, though. I hope Bryce Miller is able to pull it off for Seattle, wrap this up, and I hope that we get 3 more AL and NLDS games. But at this point right now, Cubbies are doing everything they can just to stay afloat. Not 100% sure if just the Brew Crew have their number this year, but it is a rough series to watch there. I don't believe in the Yankees. I'm sorry. You guys have lost double-digit games. You don't just bounce back from stuff like that. I think yesterday was a good indicator that you can keep up with them.
I think they're just going to ride that momentum.
I think Toronto, if Toronto can reach probably 6-7 runs again, I don't know if you guys will catch them again. I really don't.
And I do like Verlander, man.
I do too.
It might be tough.
Verlander is a fantastic pitcher, but even he, and this is the Toronto pitcher, mind you, has lost a game in this playoffs and has a 6.75 ERA right now. So the Yankees are sitting happy just because of who they're playing against. And you have to feel good with Schlittler being the pitcher that's taking them out for you, since he absolutely dominated the Boston Red Sox.
Everything is pointing towards the Yankees to push game 5.
But let's also not forget that game against the Red Sox for Schlittler was him taking on his favorite team, which traditionally, unless you're Hunter Green, works out for you. Thanks, Hunter. But that's all
And
we got.
speaking
for you
of
guys.
Hunter, you know, Busch Light is doing a deal. If you legally change your name to Hunter, you could win free Busch Light for 19 years.
And you drop this on me now?
I
I
just
would have
found
changed
out.
my name a long
And
time
Busch
ago.
Light,
No, I'm just
Busch
kidding.
Light will pay for it. I mean, if it was crap beer, I would say.
Honestly, I mean, it's Bush.
but
So
join
it's,
us tomorrow.
it's what you get. Join us tomorrow, 7 to 9. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Hope you guys have a great day. Like, subscribe, share all of our social medias, all that type of good stuff. Sparky, let's get out of here.